How do? Welcome back. Well, I'm having a birthday beer. It's Wednesday for me, March the 22nd. I share my birthday with, what's he called, Marcel Marceau, the mime artist, and William Shatner. And I'm 55, there you go. So I thought I'll have a birthday beer. And if you can hear anything humming, I'm actually brewing at the moment, but I'll get onto that a little bit later, because first of all I want to talk about this. This is my Australian sparkling ale, and it's a good beer, it's nice beer, don't get me wrong, but yesterday I brewed another version of it because I can now. I've got all this malt. Yeah, I'm not happy with it, and I think I can do better. So if you remember, this used Munton's Marisotta, 1.5 kilograms, and then I used 1.5 kilograms of pale malt. And to be honest, it's got that liquid malt characteristic to it. I don't know, I think I've been brewing now with dry malt for so long I can just pick up liquid malt. That said, with kits these days I can't pick it up in those, but whenever I use liquid malt I seem to sort of like pick it out. There's like a sweetness to it. But it is a nice beer. It's nice, it's got a nice dryness at the back end. It's a little bit bitter, maybe, you know, high 20s IBU, but I used Verdant IPA yeast with this, and that's tasting nice. I also used Galaxy hops, so it's got some nice tropical fruit notes, but that I think that Verdant IPA is giving it like a stone fruit flavour as well. It is, it's not a bad beer. I just think I can do better. And yeah, it's darker than what I thought it would be. Now, this is orange. There's no getting away from it. It's orange. And I was looking for a nice light golden colour. And I put that down to the liquid malt extract. I know G-Town Brewer has just uploaded a video recently. And he used 2 tins of Munton's Marisotta, looking for a nice pale ale, and he does these back-to-back videos, so he shows you his ingredients, he shows you his brew day, and then he tastes it, and it's like well, on camera it looked like a dark brown or a chestnutty or an amberish sort of coloured beer. So yeah, I think that's what's happened here. I didn't use 2 cans though, I just used 1, and I used extra light dry malt extract, which really doesn't have a lot of colour at all. So I think that's why mine's not as dark as his, but it is certainly darker than what I was expecting. I was expecting a nice goldeny sort of coloured beer. I also used some crystal. I thought that would have given it a nice golden colour. But I've ended up with an orange beer. so I'm brewing it again, but this time I'm just using pale malt, and we'll see if that's any better. So this one's a bit of a fail, but I'm sure the next one will be better. All the other ingredients are exactly the same, it's just I've taken out the Marisotta and I'm just using pale malt. Right, so what am I brewing today? Well, I've decided, again, another recipe for the book, to do a raw beer in the Norwegian style, because I've got myself some, I forgot what it's called now, Hallingdal or something like that, Kveik yeast. And I've been watching some interesting videos, Chop and Brew. I think it was a couple of years ago, they actually went to Norway and did a series, and they filmed a lot of these guys actually brewing in the Norwegian farmhouses. And in one of the videos they said that in the Hornindal region it's traditional that you do a raw beer. In the more southern regions like Voss, they boil the beer. So I'm using Hornindal, Kvike, and so I thought, well, I'll marry it with a raw ale. Now one of the things that they do is when the wort's finished, when the mash is finished, they transfer it via juniper twigs. They make like a mesh of juniper twigs, and the wort goes over the juniper twigs. In fact, actually I think one of them made an infusion. I think before they start the mash, he had juniper twigs actually in the water, and they were bringing the water up to temperature, and then they would just leave that for hours so all the juniper infused into the water. Now I can't get juniper twigs, there's no juniper trees around me, I don't think there is anyway. So what I've decided to do is to use some juniper berries. So I've got about 20 grams of juniper berries here, and I've squashed them and you know, just broke the surface. They're dried, so I broke the surface so that the flavours can come out of the juniper. And there's 20 grams here. I'm thinking now that might be a bit too much, simply because my hands stink of juniper. It's really aromatic. But I've got these 20 grams of juniper berries, and what I'm going to do is add these when it gets up to temperature, and it's still got a way to go yet. When it gets up to about 75 degrees, I'll put these juniper berries in, and I'm hoping that will sort of like take the place of a bittering hop. I'm not boiling this, so it's not going to bitter, but junipers do have a bittery sort of taste, and so I'm thinking, okay, there's 20 grams here, I don't know if that's too much, but what I can do is every now and then just take a sample of the liquid, well the works, I'll be adding malt to it as well of course, and just see if it's bitter enough. And then as they're in their own little hop sock, when it gets bitter enough I can just take them out. What I'm also going to be adding is Tetnang hops. I've got some Tetnang, there's about 50 grams in here just because I want to use it up, and they'll just go in like a normal hop stand, you know, 15 minutes hop stand, because the temperature is only going to be about 75 to 80 degrees, so they'll go in about 15 minutes before the end. And then I'm going to use 2 kilograms of pale malt extract, and to that I'm adding 60 grams, don't forget these measurements for 12 litres, 60 grams of crystal 40 Lover Bond, and 150 grams of rye. I'm basically doing everything in the kettle. I'm not steeping these, because there's no point. This is going to be at steeping temperature, so everything's going to go in this kettle. When it gets up to 75 degrees, I'll put in the dry malt extract, I'll put in the grains, and I'll put in the juniper, and I'll just monitor it as I go, because I've never done this before. And then I don't know how long you're meant to steep for before it's pasteurised, how long you're meant to heat the water before it's pasteurised, but I'm thinking half an hour is probably enough. So 15 minutes before the end I'll add the Tetnang, and that's going to be this brew. It's like a raw Norwegian farmhouse ale with juniper. So there you go. I'm busy on my birthday. Don't get me wrong, it is a nice beer. I think the Galaxy and that Verdant IPA work really well together, to be honest. I'm really liking that yeast. I've saved it. Well, of course I have, because I've used it again in this batch I brewed yesterday. and I'll be saving that as well. Yeah, I'm really liking the yeast. I think it plays well with the Galaxy, and I think the next version of the sparkling ale will be a lot better than this. So let's wait and see. Right, that's it. I'm going to, this is coming up to 70 now, so I'm going to go back to my kettle, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye for now.